Hey, welcome to this edition of Who Will She Pick? Today we have a bachelorette. Her name is Lady America, and she's going to choose her president. We have two bachelors here. One, Theodore Roosevelt. The other, Woodrow Wilson. Now, let's find out to see who Lady America will choose.
Gotta get boom boom boom, 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 that boom boom boom, that boom boom boom.
So guys, tell me about yourselves. Starting with Roosevelt, I'd like to hear more about your domestic and foreign policies.
Well,
Yo, what's up? This is A Fizzle, and I'm gonna sing about my brother Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy R, bring it in. Yeah, man. Alright, we'll run this. Let's go.
Well, the square deal's on, and you should know that lost this nation, but that will show. Impact that it brought have changed this land from the massive of people. Every bit is sad. Teddy Roosevelt, president of the street, and this is his domestic policy. Proposal 3 sees called the square deal, supported by people with laws to the deal. Sewer protection, this is the facts. TR health tax, the meat inspection tax. Young can't think of pure drugs and booze. People feel safe whenever they choose. Conservation of resources, vegetation, and parks he endorses. Once securities he did destroy, became a trust buster from this book.
The truth or trust I
Regulate,
and the power of government I
indicate. TR left a legacy on the USA. Mistakes, Rushmore, they will stay.
Roosevelt utilized a policy most notably known as the Big Stick diplomacy in order to assert that the U.S. would use any means to achieve its goals and warn all nations that could potentially stand in its way. Roosevelt asserted that the Big Stick diplomacy was essentially to speak softly and carry a big stick. Roosevelt strived to construct the Panama Canal, which would greatly decrease traveling time from either the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean to the other, by allowing ships to travel through a passage in Central America instead of having to travel around the tip of South America. The Panama Canal project was an ambitious project that cost nearly $400 million and required approximately the labor of 30,000 workers, each laboring 10 hours each day for 10 years. However, the Panama Canal would prove to be very beneficial, promoting trade efficiency by occupying a strategic location. Roosevelt also established the U.S.'s supremacy in the Western Hemisphere by promoting policies which allowed the U.S. to dominate Latin American affairs, with the Roosevelt Corollary, which was an add-on to the Monroe Doctrine, and this established the U.S.'s role as an enforcer, which protected the Latin nations. Roosevelt was also a peacemaker in that he was involved in helping resolve the Russo-Japanese conflict, as well as a dispute between the French and Germans over control of Morocco. Roosevelt's role, therefore, was that of a mediator, and he also won the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts.
Okay, that was very interesting.
thank you.
Now what about you, Wilson? What about your domestic and foreign policies?
Woody Will, number 28. That's what I'm talking about.
Freedom, just my plan to get greenback. Come on, now antitrust, companies comply or go bust.
Establish new banks with Fed Reserve Act, lower tariffs, new income tax. We used to be neutral, but Germans attack. Now we will counter with a new draft. 1917, let's enter the war.
Let's go!
Time for us to join the war. I'm like the supervisor, defeat that Wilhelm Kaiser, keep me from the war no more.
To respond to the failure of the Sherman Antitrust Act, I pushed for the Clinton Antitrust Act, which protected labor unions from being prosecuted for halting trade. Gone was the quote-unquote restraining trade loophole. At the same time, the Federal Trade Commission was established and replaced the Interstate Commerce Commission.
The Federal Reserve Act also gave the government power to adjust interest rates.
issue money based on the economy, and save money for a reserve fund. This created the framework for later 20th century financial policies.
I have to admit, my wartime policy was a bit harsh, yet it kept the citizens in line. I promoted the Espionage and Sedition Acts, which was similar to Lincoln's wartime policy, and put people in jail for speaking out against my authority.
Oh, ¿qué voy a hacer? Mi país es horrible. Ay, Dios mío.
See, I can help you.
Under me, our country improved its internal condition through the New Freedom Plan and an effective war policy. My foreign policy, on the other hand, did not turn out as well as I thought. When there were problems in the Latin Americas, I sent troops to keep peace in the Americas. Among the many issues, I spent the most time with Mexico, which was going through a revolution. I tried to help them get rid of dictators, but the new leaders opposed me, so the United States and Mexico maintained an unhealthy relationship. Also important was the World War. I personally wanted to stay out of European affairs, but the Germans kept on attacking Americans. What could I do? When the Kaiser ignored the Sussex Pledge, and when I discovered the Zimmermann Note, I had to side with the Entente. We were a big help to the Allies. Thanks to the US help, the Allies were able to crush the German forces. After the war, I proposed the 14 points, especially asserting for the creation of the League of Nations. Even though the Republicans opposed most of the 14 points, I did what I could in order to keep world peace.
Well, Lady America has made her choice. Now, it is time to find out who she has chosen. Hello, Lady America. Would you like to tell us why you chose Theodore Roosevelt over Woodrow Wilson?
With the Square Deal, which dealt with consumer protection, conservation of resources, and corporate regulation, Roosevelt was able to set precedents for future presidencies, especially that of Wilson. Roosevelt championed the cause of the common American public, unlike Wilson. With his love for democracy and his desire for a peaceful world, Wilson tried his best as a president. However, in terms of foreign policies, he was not as decisive or assertive as Roosevelt, and his resolution proved to be inefficient. It is clear that Wilson's agenda is a derivative of Roosevelt's because without TR's imperialistic iron fist, the United States would not have been able to gain additional territories in the world or stand out as a dominant world leader. He not only gained more land, but also earned respect from formerly prominent countries, such as Great Britain and Germany. While Wilson is a calm intellectual, I feel that Roosevelt is the right man for me. He's an assertive, true leader who made the U.S. prosper as a world leader.
You know, I may have lost this time, but I'm happy for Lady America. You know, I think she made the right choice in picking Roosevelt. You know, it's okay. I sell my books, you know, so I'm off. Peace!